Here's what we decided to do. In honor of the 4 best teams and then the 4 teams that deserve to be in the Final Four, we decided to give you some random matchups of the mashup of the top 8 teams, basically, and how these teams would do on a neutral site. Okay, Boomer, let's go. Let's start with you first. Alabama and USC. Excuse me, I see you have Bama winning here.
Yep. I mean, I think it'd be a typical Lincoln Riley matchup against an SEC school in the college football playoff. I think that they would struggle. I mean, USC's defense, I mean, they are great at creating turnovers, but I mean, let's face it, their strength of schedule is not that tough. So I think Bama would win here.
Yeah, so we have the same thing. If you look at ours, we have Alabama. I think we're exactly aligned on this.
Are we exactly the same?
Yeah, I think we're exactly the same. This shows you we're not telling each other what to pick or who to pick. We want honest reactions here. But when we were coming together with this, us 3, Blaine, you had USC beating Alabama on a neutral site. You can see, let's go ahead and darken out USC there. We have Alabama winning. But Blaine, you were the pushback here. You have USC beating Alabama on a neutral field.
I don't think we can all sit here and this is super confidently say that Bama would win this game. One, I mean, look at the guys that USC have on offense. Absolute star power. Playmakers. Bama's defense haven't been the same all year, especially the DB position. What are they doing in big games? A lot of mistakes, a lot of penalties, and you will get pushed to the limit by this offense. And I know this USC defense haven't been phenomenal or haven't had the best schedule. They've gave up a lot of yards on the ground, but so has Bama's defense. And the one thing kind of difference from Bama's defense to USC's defense is USC's defense get turnovers when it matters. They get stops when it matters. So I think it'd come down to it. One, I'd take the over in this game for sure, but I think it'd come down to a 1-possession game late in the fourth quarter, and I think USC's offense either makes a play or their defense either makes a play, because I feel like Bryce Young and Caleb Williams can so much cancel themselves out by the way they would play.
I think this would almost be exactly like the Alabama-Tennessee game, except the Alabama would find a way at the end to win it because it's not on the road. I don't think you'd see as many procedure penalties that put Alabama back, but I think this would have Alabama-Tennessee written all over.
That's a good comp. I like that. I think this would be the best game on the slate and could feature the last 2 Heisman Trophy winners if Caleb Williams goes on to win the trophy. So I like the Tennessee game comp right there. I think that after watching Southern Cal, the way they played UCLA was interesting because that was a physical UCLA team that could run the ball with Zach Charbonnet. USC found a way to get stops. Man, I would take Alabama late in the game to figure out.
It's hard for me to bet against Bryce Young when it matters.
I was always in the same boat.
As crazy as that sounds, though, guys, Stetson Bennett is going to most likely finish his career with more national championships than Bryce Young. Think about that.
That's wild.
Think about that. Now, we got Georgia and Ohio State here. We both picked Georgia, Boomer. How close were you to picking Ohio State here? What do you think the difference is in this Georgia-Ohio State game? By the way, in the comments, tell us who you think wins.
I was not close at all to thinking Ohio State could beat Georgia. I mean, I think Georgia would play them pretty similar to how they played Tennessee, which is shut down the deep ball and, force them to throw the intermediate passing game. And I mean, I just don't think that game would be close at all. We saw Michigan, Ohio State. I said beforehand, I thought Ohio State was a soft, not a very physical football team. We saw it happen when they played against Michigan. Georgia physical, then Michigan. So I think it would be a rout.
Yeah, I think the physicality of Georgia cones too much, even though I do think C.J. Stroud and them with Marvin Harrison Jr. and JNS when he's healthy and Egbuka and those guys would score some points. I just think Georgia's too physical.
The success that Georgia's secondary had against Tennessee's wide receivers and Hendon Hooker, I mean, there wasn't an open wide receiver that entire game. I know Tennessee played on the road. I know there was 8 false start penalties, and it's tough to go win in between the hedges, but that was not the difference to me in that game. It was Georgia's ability to just suffocate that elite wide receiver core and that offense for Tennessee. I just feel like that's the precedent for what they would do against a Buckeyes offense who's very much the same.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. All right, Michigan, LSU, we both had Michigan. The reason that I think when we got together and all 3 of us were aligned on this one, I think J.J. McCarthy would have time. I think Michigan's offensive line, while without Mason Smith at LSU, I know they've got some guys up front that are talented. Hell, it's LSU. They do every year. I just think Michigan's offensive line is the difference here. I think J.J. McCarthy has time. I think they're able to work the intermediate passing game. A healthy Blake Corum getting some time to rest and coming back. I think Michigan wins this one by 9 or 10. That's where I had it at, Boomer.
Yeah. A couple touchdowns at least.
2 touchdowns? Y'all think it's 2 touchdowns?
I think it's 9 or 10.
9 or 10 I can get with. I think this would be an 8.5-point spread if it came out. Michigan's a better team. But which LSU team's going to show up?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't know. You just got absolutely bombed on by A-Chain from Texas A&M, 200-plus rushing yards against a Michigan team who just showed everybody they could do what? Hell, if they have to, they can air it out, but also absolutely ran through. So had over 200 rushing yards against a good Ohio State team. So I feel like Michigan wins, but I don't know which Jaden Daniels going to show up.
I would be very interested to see what type of game Jaden Daniels would have against a Michigan defense. They haven't faced a lot of dual-threat quarterbacks, and as great as C.J. Stroud is, he's not a running quarterback.
No.
I think Jaden Daniels would have success against that Michigan defense, but not enough to win the football game.
I think this would be a 31 to 21 type game. That's kind of the vibe. Maybe a 31-20 type game. I think Jaden Daniels would be able to be effective. The question is, how effective down the field passing will he be able to be? That was the difference for LSU in this offense, really starting to grow. All right, Boomer, last one. TCU and Clemson. DJU again. I'm going to come on here and say it. You know what was funny to me? Again, we weren't high on DJU here before the season. Started out the season like old DJU, had a couple weeks of playing well. And then all of a sudden, everybody comes out of the woodwork, told you DJU was this, told you DJU was that, y'all don't want to listen. Then he regresses right back to who he was. The anomaly was him playing well. We know who DJU is now, right? I mean, hell, South Carolina and Shane Beamer, they got more momentum than Augustus Gloop rolling downhill.
Yeah. I mean, he was like 8 for 28.
8 for 29.
Like 9,
8 for 29.
Less than 100 yards passing. I mean, come on. I like, you want to blame Brandon Streeter? I mean, it's just, I think he's not who people thought he was 2 years ago during the COVID year. I mean, he's just not that good of a quarterback. And so if we're talking about TCU, I think TCU would beat Clemson because Clemson is that inefficient on offense. They don't have the receivers. They don't have a T. Higgins or Sammy Watkins or Hunter Renfrow they had back when they had won the national championship. So I said it a year ago. I think Clemson's dynasty here, their national championship run, is kind of coming to a close.
Well, look, we've seen some vacuums created in other conferences. Now, typically that's because some teams are leaving. But it will be interesting to see Clemson and North Carolina, even though they both do have 2 losses. They both look to be out of the playoff pretty much. That's going to be a heck of a matchup. But Boomer, as always, man, great stuff. Tell everybody where they can find your work. And we're going to be doing that Instagram collab with our list, which we're perfectly aligned on. So we're going to see where, if people think we're wrong, at least we're all going to be wrong together. Like I used to tell my DBs, if we're all wrong, we're all right.
I think those picks. I think everyone the house would go with those picks. But y'all can follow me at Big Game Boomer on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and shout out to Cone for Michigan. Whooping Ohio State in the shoe. I think we said that was going to happen a week ago, and they did it without Blake Corum. So
thank you, sir.
They're riding high.
We love your faith in the Michigan program.
That's exactly.
It took me a while.
Your newfound faith.
Nobody believes.
Me a while.
The 2 people that believe in Wolverine the most, David Cone and Professor X.
And Big Game Boomer. And I expect you to say no negative comments in the offseason.
No, so no
we'll
negative.
See. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Harbaugh may go to the NFL.
Yeah, it's just you'd think I just rooted for Ohio State my entire life. Sitting over here just hitting Ted Lasso, hitting believe.
Right
me from
he did say it. It's recorded.
No credit. Like, hey, here's the keychain. Get out.
It's like Jonah Hill says in Superbad. People don't forget.
I think that's what made the difference.
Yeah,
honestly.
But without a doubt. Boomer, we appreciate you, my friend.
All right, y'all. Take it easy.
Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel, like these videos, and share it with all your friends.